Hi everyone, and welcome to From Shambles to Shambhala and the month of September. There's a lot going on this month, so I'm not going to go into all the different elements of it, just the highlights. And it all started on Labor Day, Monday, with the new moon in Virgo. So after all the energies of the summer and all the excitement and playing games in the sun and all the things that were taking place, this is now a time to get centered, get back to focus, get real, focus on the details, and focusing on what's really essentially important. As the kids all go back to school and people go back to work, it's now moving into the fall season as we now begin to really focus on what really matters for us. We had this really interesting situation where the new moon, that's the sun and moon together in Virgo, is exactly opposite Saturn in Pisces. So that Virgo Pisces axis was activated right on that new moon. And then over the course of the next 2 weeks, the moon is going to move round and come into a conjunction with Saturn, then move past Saturn to Neptune, right at the end of Pisces, where it's going to form a full moon axis with the sun still in Virgo, and it's a full harvest moon, and it's a lunar eclipse. So it's a partial lunar eclipse, which will only be seen slightly in the Pacific Northwest immediately after moon rise, and it won't be a complete covering at all. So this is asking us to get very clear on what we are done with. What are we now finished with, to let it all go, to set ourselves free, to create space for the next step. Then 2 weeks later, we move into the solar eclipse on October the 2nd. And we won't see that at all in the Pacific Northwest. You may touch on it on the very southern tip of the Americas. It's an annular solar eclipse, which means the moon won't quite cover the whole of the sun. So there'll be what's called a ring of fire around the moon. It's a spectacular sight, even if you only see it on a computer-generated internet link. It's still a magnificent sight. So that's going to take place in the sign of Libra. And the great news is that Venus has just moved into Libra. And so this is Venus in her highest expression. Venus in Libra is all about romance and poetry and music and dance, all the higher arts. But it's also about our primary relationships. So during the course of this month, as we go through the movement of the moon moving into Pisces, it's about finding that harmonic balance within our relationships. And that may include relationships that are now over, that we're done with. Or it can be to do with the strengthening relationships. But Venus in Libra is about the up-leveling of the sacred feminine. So this is now the feminine principle moving into her full power. Now along the way, there's a couple of other things to comment upon. On September the 8th, Saturn is going to be in retrograde motion on its closest path to the Earth. So for those of you with astronomical interests, there's a great opportunity on September the 8th to see the rings of Saturn out in the evening sky. And then at the beginning of October, there is a major comet coming back through the atmosphere, and it's going to be as bright, apparently, as the brightest stars. So there are some really interesting astronomical things to look for. The other big powerful event is the Fall Equinox, taking place on September the 2nd, right between the two eclipses. So it's creating a very powerful transition from the seasons, the end of the summer season and moving into the fall season. Now, I've spoken before about the energies of the equinoxes and solstices when all the ley lines and vortexes come into harmonic resonant frequency. And that period that they're aligned is getting longer and longer. So again, a great time, if you can, to be connected with nature in alignment with that fall equinox. The other aspect of it is right now, we entered into the 40th gene key on that new moon in Virgo, moving into the 64, then into the 47, and then into the 6. And those 4 gene keys are called the Ring of Alchemy. So this is the best opportunity we have during the year to do the alchemical transmutation, to transform ourselves from the inside out, from the new moon in Virgo right through to the fall equinox. So this 3-week period, pay attention to whenever you're getting triggered by anything in the world, a person, a situation, a comment, what's happening in the world at large, and try and get a deep sense of what that trigger is inside you. Because this is that greatest opportunity you can have to clear out any residual remnants of shadow frequency to set you completely free. So it's going to be another powerful month. I hope you have a great month. Try and spend as much time out in nature as you can. Although we're now into September, we've got beautiful weather here in the Pacific Northwest. And getting out and about with nature and spending time with her is the most important thing that we can do. Stay relaxed, stay calm, whatever is happening in the outer world, know it's all going to end well. Many blessings to you all.